So I'm going to start with a story from many years ago about Alice, who was the oldest of her siblings. Her mother had another baby. In later years, the baby would be nicknamed Nell. Sadly, when Nell was just 1 month old, their mother died. Within a few years, their father, a brother, and a sister died too. Alice was left to lead what remained of the family, and she desperately struggled to work and maintain the family. Somehow, Alice made enough money to keep her sister Nell in boarding school where she could be educated and cared for. So now let's jump ahead in the story 37 years. Nell had become a happily married mother of 5. One day, Nell was surprised to find out she was pregnant with her 6th child. When consulting with the doctor, Nell was told that the baby was an extreme risk to her health. At a time and place when medicine was not nearly what we have here and now, the doctor advised an abortion. Her oldest sister, Alice, had seen death ravage their family. She couldn't even consider the loss of her only living sister, so she begged her sister to go ahead with the abortion. What should Nell have done? What would you do? The term pro-life has been on Catholic minds lately. Whenever we have an election, it comes back as a topic. Abortion, while it is not the only pro-life issue, always becomes the focus. The gospel today talks about the entrustment of possessions. The most valuable possession God has given us is life. Because of its importance, it makes sense that we would get so spirited about it. For now, however, I want to leave the election behind for a minute. Using today's readings and church documents, especially Pope John Paul's letter, Evangelium Vitae, which is the gospel of life, let's consider 3 points of a pro-life position. First, the victims. Second, the urgency. And third, the actions. So first, the victims. In any discussion of a sinful act, Christians should always consider the victims. We need to look upon the victims with compassion and care. When it comes to abortion, who are the victims? Of course, the children who lose lives are victims, and we pray for the repose of their souls. However, we cannot forget at least one other victim, the mother of the child. Every pregnant mother is under an enormous amount of stress as soon as the pregnancy starts. Think about the fact that God has entrusted that person with a human life. Now consider a mother who doesn't have all the comforts of a loving husband and a stable home. What if family members, like in the case of Nell, are applying pressure on her to have an abortion? What if medical experts around her are encouraging the abortion? The pressures on her are beyond understanding. If she does give in and submit to the abortion, that's when the real pain begins. So she will be a victim of this action, and she will suffer from it. And so will the father of that child. Let me make this first point very clear. If you have had an abortion, we are not judging you. Judging is God's job, and I cannot compete in a job market like that. However, I will tell you that you need healing. Go to confession. Talk to someone. Find someone here. I'll talk to you. I can help. We love you. We do not want you to carry this burden. So second, the urgency. Every election we hear the calls to vote pro-life, and that's good advice. St. John Paul told us in his letter, "For this reason I urgently appeal once more to all political leaders not to pass laws which, by disregarding the dignity of the person, undermine the very fabric of society. Our votes determine who makes the laws. Vote pro-life. However, we can easily fall into a trap. I voted pro-life. My job is done." And then we shake the dust from our hands and check out of the pro-life activities until the next election. No matter what the result of any election, our job does not end with the election. Laws take time to write and to pass and to implement, and life is attacked all the time. 55,000 abortions a year are performed in Texas alone. Children are dying while we debate on Facebook. Think about a 16-year-old girl who finds out she's pregnant tomorrow. She might be abandoned by her boyfriend who didn't want the baby and blames her for getting pregnant. She might be kicked out of the house by her parents for embarrassing them. She has no high school diploma, no way to get a job, no place to live, no future that she can see. And abortion looks like the only solution. Who of us is there present with her? Our Master has entrusted this cause to us. Are we burying our gifts like the wicked and lazy servant? Or are we investing our gifts in people like this so that God's love doubles its presence in our world? And how long are we waiting to act? Listen to the words of St. Paul that we heard today. He uses an appropriate analogy. When people are saying peace and security, then sudden disaster comes upon them like labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. These crises are sudden. We do not have time to wait until the next election. We do not have time to wait for politicians to develop laws and negotiate positions. Actually, John Paul tells us there's even more than laws. It is not enough to remove unjust laws. The underlying causes of attacks on life have to be eliminated, especially by ensuring proper support for families and motherhood. That is, we need to find ways to support these women. We need to find ways to support the young fathers who are lost and confused as well. We need to respond. So third, pro-life actions. Let's go back to the words of Pope John Paul. No single person or group has a monopoly on the defense and promotion of life. These are everyone's task and responsibility. Stopping abortion is my responsibility. Stopping abortion is your responsibility. Pope John Paul also tells us volunteer workers have a specific role to play. They make a valuable contribution to the service of life when they combine professional ability and generous, selfless love. Here's a question that's plagued me for the last week. How many abortions have I personally stopped? I hope my prayers have stopped millions, but we should ask ourselves that question. How many abortions have we been personally involved in preventing? You want to know how many I've prevented? As far as I know, 0. I have stopped no abortion, and I cannot live with that fact. How much love have I dumped into the young women and men facing these difficult situations? How much have I done to support those who have decided in favor of life but still have no means to care for their family? After we vote and after we convince someone to avoid abortion, we still have work. Like the first reading describes, these are women whose value is far beyond pearls. Gaudium et Spes, a document from Vatican II, reminds us that support of life does not stop with abortion. We're called to stop, quote, whatever insults human dignity, such as subhuman living conditions, arbitrary imprisonment, deportation, slavery, prostitution, the selling of women and children, as well as disgraceful working conditions. So to answer that call, I had a phone conversation with Pregnancy Assistance Center North down the road. They need people. They need those who can offer spiritual guidance. They need mentors for fathers. They need people to do skilled labor at their facilities. People who can just sit and listen with those in their time of need. So which of those tasks are we doing? We push the pro-life vote. What are we doing now? Why aren't pro-life clinics calling Father Tom and telling him they have too many volunteers from St. Anthony? And some of you are helping. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. I have not been helping, and that's going to change. My talents will be invested for my Master's sake. If you want to invest your talents, see me after Mass or send me an email. Let's find ways together to share in our Master's joy. So let's go back to Nell. She decided to complete the pregnancy. The baby was born without incident, and she grew to be a mother herself. In fact, that baby was my mother. Someone encouraged my grandmother to have the baby. I'm not sure who that was. Maybe my grandfather, maybe friends. Through my grandmother's decision, my mom, her 3 children, and her 11 grandchildren are here today. The challenge we hear today is to love so much that we create an environment that makes abortion obsolete. So go stop abortions, Go help people in pain and despair. Go bring people God's love. St. Anthony of Padua.